We are humans. We have goals, we have motives, we have ambitions, and yet oftentimes our self-imposed limits stop us from achieving them. We're bound to the constraints of society, youth, and life in general. What does it mean to break from those shackles and experience our dream? Is it worth gambling everything away to experience what it's like to live your dream? Those are the questions which bogged me down for the longest time. I felt limited in the way I was living, and I truly thought my potential wasn't being met in my personal or academic life. A myriad of emotions clouded me, and in my darkest of days I encountered the show named Bakuman. And this video is a homage to the show which I can confidently say changed my life. Bakuman is a manga slash anime I'd consider to be at the pinnacle of fiction for what it can do to affect us in a fundamental way. If we say Oyasumi Punpun can familiarize us with the darkest truths of reality, then Bakuman can teach us the most romantic truths of what it means to live for a goal. Bakuman is a very intricate and detailed yet simple story. It's about a boy who is recovering from a personal tragedy, Mashiro Moritaka, and his happen-chance classmate turned dream partner, Akito Takagi, aiming to climb at the pinnacle of the manga world under the pen name Ashirogi Muto, which directly translates to dreams and come true. The nature of Bakuman's story plays a huge part on why it had a lasting impact on me and the legacy it leaves behind in the anime and manga world. Bakuman is a manga about what it takes to create a manga. We learn through the narrative that the manga world is a cutthroat place where mistakes are punished, and a loss in the popularity of a manga results in a quick axing of the series. Bakuman is a show which establishes the character's dreamlike thought process and the resolve to go all the way to the top at the very beginning of the manga, and we spend more than a decade with them through the series as they go down a pathway which may lead to near certain failure. Spending this much time with a character means attachment to not only them, but their dreams and motives as well. Therefore, as much of a journey the story was for Ashirogi Muto, this was as much of a journey for me, the reader. When I first encountered this series, I was stuck in a place of no progress, academically or physically. I found my improvements stagnant, and that's when poor thoughts can begin to enter your mind. Fortunately for me though, that's when I stumbled upon this series. I first thought it was a cheesy romance series. Though it was a romance both in the literal and metaphorical sense, it was far from what I expected. It explored the romance of achieving something unimaginable, and not limiting yourself. We learn through the story that the main character's uncle lived the life of a gambling dreamer, which means he too was a mangaka. Though, through overwork and stress, his life was cut short. That's when our main character, much like a lot of us in reality, began thinking that those who dream were shallow and verged towards a very standard and average life. But much like me stumbling upon this series, our main character meets Takagi, who convinces him sheepishly to try being a mangaka for the girl he had a crush on. Takagi mentions that together they have the potential to be great mangakas with Mashiro's artistic abilities and Takagi's writing expertise. And thus their journey begins, and my own journey of reignition with them. The reason why this series struck me so efficiently and enticed me is due to its similarities with our world. In the very first episode, it doesn't hesitate to tell you, you can't just be a mangaka. Only those with talent can be mangakas, and of those, only the geniuses can succeed. The rest just gamble. To me, that seemed like a direct call-out, but then another dialogue is followed up, saying, you cannot win if you don't draw. That statement said to me, why must I push myself down of not succeeding in academics, without me actually trying to be the very best? Why should I limit myself to being average when I can aim for excellence at the summit? Though this was just a thought that both I and the main character had. To have thoughts is one thing, and to achieve them or go forth in wanting to achieve them is a whole another beast. I was met by the thought from Bakuman which screamed at me, asking furiously, do you just want to see your life pass by? Do you just want to sit there aimlessly avoiding any decisions? Or do you want to make a move? This all happened to me in the very first episode, and I was hooked. And little did I know my life was going to experience a major change as well. The characters in this show seem larger than life to me, not because of their outlandish personas that you might get in a series like One Piece, but rather due to their realism and flaws which marry their characters. Mashiro is a big dreamer, but he's flawed in a way where he doesn't know his own limits. Whereas Takagi is far more grounded to reality, but he gets bogged down quicker and is easily satisfied. These seem like realistic traits that people have, and the characters in the series encounter real problems faced by people in our world. In Bakuman, we encounter characters bordering depression, those who failed at the life of a dreamer, those who are geniuses, and even those who try to con their way to success. Having such a cast of characters with different personas reminds you of your own life and the different people around you, and Bakuman's slice of life quickly becomes your own slice of life. I believe the manga and the anime's ability to allow you to experience this realism and the personalities of people in the story is a reason why it's so effective at motivating its readers. Though Ashirogi Muto and my journey started, there was a lot more I had to learn from this story, and it did tell it to me in a very effective means. One standout line from Bakuman I remember is, "My uncle never told me to become a mangaka. I'm drawing manga because I want to." A dream isn't something someone tells you to go for, it's something you fulfill on your own. According to me, this line is true to the very core. Nobody can realistically tell you to go for something, because if you go for something half-heartedly, it's likely you don't have the right motivation behind it. Dreams or goals are something which is mostly gained through self. Of course you can have inspirations to heat you in the direction of the particular goal, although if the drive from self isn't there, it's not going to work out more often than not. I started working now. I was working very hard. I was aiming to be the best in my world. Meanwhile, in the manga world, Ashirogi Muto was working hard as well. But, like most people working hard for a little while, it means nothing. Both Ashirogi and I, though we were on the right path, success didn't find its way to us. Not yet, at least. But like with every other stop so far, this time Bakuman hits its reader with the mantra that I carry to this day with me. To be successful in anything, 3 things are needed. Number 1, hubris or confidence in oneself. Number 2, hard work in which you don't give up no matter how many walls you run into. And number 3, luck. Now, number 3 might throw you off, but believe me, it's important to know what are your controllables and what aren't. That's what number 3 tells me, and chances are, the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. This mantra that Bakuman bestowed upon me became my modus operandi throughout high school, where I simply focused on working hard and refusing to let into distractions. Well, this meant I had to give up on something as well. Like our characters in Bakuman let us know, if you're aiming to be at the absolute pinnacle, there are sacrifices that need to be made as well. Ashirogi Muto gave up on their youth, since to them, being the best in the manga world was their youth. I, like them, gave up on things as well, stuff which didn't align with my goal. I was trying to be physically fit. That meant junk food was out of the question totally, and things like eating sweets and sugar had to be controlled as well. I was also trying to reach an academic peak, which meant that excess gaming and other form of materialistic enjoyments were stalled for a while as well. Deciding to sacrifice youth isn't something I'd advise, but our main characters are shown to represent the absolute insane drive it takes to be the very best. They aren't geniuses, that they can go there with relative ease. They're simply workers. They're gamblers increasing their odds to be the very best minute by minute. And when I watched that, I respected it. I respected it to the very core. I've always been fascinated with people at the peak of their particular domain. Think a person like LeBron James in basketball, a Federer or Nadal in tennis, a Miura in the manga world, or an Einstein in the academic world. A normal high school player who's good at tennis won't necessarily think to take the extra step to go professional in the sport, because with that there would come great risk, albeit a great reward might be waiting. A very intelligent boy in mathematics won't go into pure math and publish a paper for a new mathematical proof or discovery. Those who go that extra distance are special, and this series taught me what it took to get to that level. Now, I won't sit here and say I've hit the peak of academics or physical health after viewing this series, but what I will say is that this series provided me the drive and motivation like no other. And right now I'm much happier knowing that I'm giving it my all to be the very best in whatever I do. The most we can focus on is doing the processes right with full resolve, and the result is simply a byproduct. I can say that the series taught me to go for things that may be risky in trying to achieve, but it's better to do that than regret not going for them in the first place. As this video ends, I want to put the question before you all. Do you find what you're doing every day fun? Are you really living your dream? Or are you simply just going through the motions? I can say making this video is essentially a dream come true for me. It's been a few years since I stumbled upon Bakuman, but since that day, I've made sure I've improved myself with 100% effort. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching.